Well, Amy and I are sitting here going to do our videos. I have the opening. Got to talk about the 2-year-olds. And I told Amy we're going to do a top 10 list. And she is trying her hardest not to do a top 10 list. She said, why don't you just do a Stars of the Week video? That's a great idea. But you have to do your own Stars of the Week video. I can call it whatever I want. You're not getting out of it.
Why can't we make a list together?
No.
Why?
Because it's two different lists. What I saw, what I thought was interesting, and what you thought. And you have to explain yourself. My list should not be like your list, and I can almost assure you it's not going to be this week.
Last time and they were
it was similar, but it wasn't the same. Now, did we have a great week? I don't think we had a bad week. I obviously last night, Saturday night, is in my mind. So you're like, oh, man, gorgeous package made that break. Very uncharacteristic break from her, but she's fine. Again, I'd said in the other video, I think if we really look closely, you'd find that she probably touched her knee right before she made that break. And I touched on a number of things in Sunday's video, just a recap of Saturday's racing. A number of different ways a number of reasons why I just don't want to wear knee boots on gorgeous package. And quite frankly, just because you put the knee boots on doesn't mean she's not going to touch that knee, stick on that knee a little bit, and roll off stride also. So it's not as much that she hit her knee and made a break, it's the fact that she hit her knee, disrupted her gait, and she is still that fractious little filly at heart sometimes. She almost made that break on Tyler in the qualifier. Jason was saying I didn't see it, but he was grabbing a hold of her to put her to just steady her through the turn. She just ran out a little bit and rolled off stride for a second. Now, Jason said they didn't chart it as a break, but trust me when I tell you it was a break. Whatever. I guess the reason I didn't completely destroy everything yesterday, not really her type of racing at 27.55, 123. She likes to have a little bit of breather, but you just, again, I don't blame Brett for doing that. And the move he made, if you're writing down, okay, the race went like this up to this point, what do? That's the move, right? Quarter pole to the front. And especially the way she raced last week. Just knowing her as well as I do, it's not her preferred style of racing, right? That's more like the way she was racing with those aged mares. Go, 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 go. She likes just to settle for a little bit. But listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll go out and race like that this year and be fine. But as of right now, it doesn't really matter because she unfortunately made that break. It certainly looked to me, with the horse that beat her yesterday not racing very good, it certainly looked like she was going to have, if you'd have said to me, hey, by the way, that horse that beat you last week, that horse is no good today, I would have been super optimistic heading into the race. So it was a little disappointing in that regard, but that's racing, right? There's nothing you can do about it, whether it be somebody in the Kentucky Derby who expected a lot more of their horse, who was disappointed and woke up with that, despair lingering on them, or whether it's somebody racing in an overnight. It's horse racing. You always want to win. It just doesn't always work out that way. So, for the most part, as I talked about in the video, I was happy yesterday. I guess my star of yesterday, quite frankly, after watching all the horses, like, time is on my side. I know he's a good horse, and I knew James was going to race him like that, so I wasn't disappointed at all. Patrick the Piranha, that's the first time in a long time I've seen a spark of the old Patrick the Piranha. Now, he was down in class, and that wasn't the Open, but 50-4, 27-4 on the end of it on a muddy track. That's a glimmer. So great job by Tim to get him at least moving in the right direction, because we've been trying so hard to get him there and just have not been able to do it. I guess you have to also, if you're going to give highlights of the week, Blue Ventura. Here's a horse that went in 53-4 on Tuesday and was third, paced 52 flat in a stake race on Sunday. Rewind 4 weeks. If I'd have told you 4 or 5 weeks ago that Blue Ventura would have been a factor in a stake race and finished third, paced 52 flat, and that would come 4 days after him winning in 53-4 at Northfield Park, I don't think you would have believed me. So a great run right now Blue Ventura's on. Obviously, getting up into that 4 or 5 win category. He's an okay horse in the Stallion Series. I wouldn't call him a factor in the overall scheme of things now. Before I can hear some of my partners, if they're saying, well, it's unfair, he's only raced in one race, good, you got to give him more time. We're going to relax, but I'm just happy with the way he's racing. The way he started off the year as a sophomore is not how we wanted to see him start off the year, and he certainly rounded into form. But I think it's important to note, I'm pretty sure I know how he got there. He got there by racing below his class, punching below his weight class, right? And I think that is key to a lot of these horses coming to life. And somebody messaged me yesterday, said, now what? Clearly we can't put him back in the claimer. Well, sure we can. What are you talking about? We can if we want. It's still $45,000 he goes for. And I think we're in a good spot. But at the same time, I think we owe it to the horse to at least allow him to race in the next Stallion Series also, which I believe goes at Poconos in 2 weeks. So all things aside, a fantastic week. Anytime I see a horse come back, do you remember the horse Columbia Dream?
Yes.
I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this till the day I die.
We talked about this a couple months ago.
And I love it. I'll always remember him. We've had it happen a couple of times, but I remember the picture. Johnny sent me a picture of the picture one time. And we had this old claimer. We got him from, I know exactly where we got him from, but I'm not going to say it. We got him from somebody and took all the gear off him. All of it. Much like Jody's horse the other day. Came with a bunch of gear, stripped all the gear off him, just hung him up very, very modestly, and the horse came to life. And because he had been racing badly for other people, we had taken advantage of that best we could, and we just jammed him in. He was a sound horse. And I remember he won 3 times in 1 week. 3 times. And I had the picture for the longest time. Columbia Dream, 3rd win this week under it. And it was because we were able to race him. I knew how good he likely was, but I know how good he looked, and we took advantage of that. And when it came to Blue Ventura, I know he's a decent horse, but for somebody to give us $45,000 and claim him with the belief that they're going to somehow devour the Stallion Series division with him, it's just not reality. And we can take advantage of that also. So I think we're in a good spot with Blue Ventura right now. Certainly the spot, if you even asked me in the most optimistic part of the day or week and said, Anthony, Blue Ventura is going to go on a tear. He's going to win 2 or 3 races. He's going to win in 53-4 at Northfield. Then you're going to take him over to the Meadows 4 days later. He's going to pace 52, finishing 3rd in the Stallion Series. I would tell you, better change up your meds. So, very, very happy with what I saw from Blue Ventura this week. Grand Slam Dio, I saw a little life. Obviously, you guys know I'm a little biased. I like that filly a lot. And what I saw the other day was a horse we can make some improvements on. Tim and I talked about it. I think you're going to see her get better and better and better. I think if I'm going to be realistic with everybody, what's she going to do? I think she's going to turn into like a Horn Player this year, right? Horn Player had a pretty good summer, that summer that we sold her. Mm-hmm. Not near what we wanted her to be, but not nearly as bad as she could have been. She did okay. She put up some numbers. She won at 55, and we sold her at, what did we get for her? 60?
40, I think.
40? Something like that. Anyway, it's not...
Or 50.
I'm not... Yeah, something like that.
It was like her and Cutie Combo. We got this.
That's right. I forgot about her, yeah. So, the hope is that she has a pretty good summer, puts some money on her card, and we can sell her in the fall. But even though she's not the sire stake filly, and maybe she will be, who knows? Blue Ventura come forward. Maybe she's not the filly we want her to be, but maybe she will be throughout the summer, and even if she's not, she's still worth a lot of money as a broodmare. So I am optimistic about her, but it's not lost on me what we expected her to be and what she really is right now. Arrowhead Hanover was fantastic. I had a great conversation. My brother Mark called me, and he was telling me about this horse he's taking to the Bunker Hill. I said, I'm going to be at the Bunker Hill. And he goes, really? Oh, cool. Well, who do you got? I said, Arrowhead Hanover and Memento Mori. Oh, yeah. Now, he has a New York bred that he thinks pretty highly of. He won the Beal in 53, I think. But winning the Beal in 53 off half in 55. And I don't want to disparage or take away from the horse. I don't know the horse, but I know how good Arrowhead Hanover is right now. He's a sire stake horse. And I know how good Memento Mori is getting. Again, he'll be a sire stake horse. And I guess if James Mark's horse is a New York bred and Memento Mori's a New York bred, well, I guess it'll be an early clash.
Yeah.
They're going to see each other lots throughout the summer. So I'm really happy with what I see from our 2 horses coming in. The one thing I never really knew about Arrowhead, I knew he didn't do his very best work on the front, right? He'll wait on them just a hair, which got him beat last week. And he'll sprint by a horse when he's covered up. But I don't know that's not true. I moved him first over in Delaware last year, and he ran down Scotty to win. But we're against aged horses. And I keep saying this, I keep beating this drum because just in case somebody doesn't really understand the difference, racing against aged horses with sophomores and rookies is incredibly difficult. And when you're not the favorite, when you're not an overlay and you're just getting an overnight race into them, you're actually racing against horses that look similar in ability. It is a very, very difficult thing to do. For him to come first over and beat those aged horses the other day was an extremely impressive feat, and I love what I see from this horse going into the Bunker Hill in his entire season. Now, before we get to the Bunker Hill, next Saturday, as I said, I can't come home next Saturday. Next Saturday is Arrowhead Hanover racing in the Sire Stakes in Pennsylvania, and I am, there's a few things that I circle on my calendar. Hopefully getting the kids in to Kentucky is one of them this summer. Racing Arrowhead Hanover, and especially in that first Sire Stake, just to see where he fits is another one. Getting a number of our horses ready to go, and then getting our rookies ready to go. So a lot of circles on my calendar, but one of them is coming up this weekend. Memento Mori was good. I thought you'd come up to the track and watch him train the other day. You didn't, eh?
I had to get out of there.
Oh, right, you
really
did.
wanted to. I was just happy with how he was when he came in.
I'll tell you what.
It looked like you just
how was his mark?
It was the same.
He trained as good as I've ever seen him on Friday. That's as good as I've seen Memento Mori. I've trained him lots in Kentucky as a 2-year-old, raced him a few times, drove him in his qualifier. I don't think I drove him in his first race. Wasn't his first race in Kentucky? He didn't race in Pennsylvania once,
Last
right?
year?
Yeah.
You qualified him at the Meadows.
And then sent him to Kentucky. 20. Yeah, and then sent him to Kentucky. So I've gone with him a number of times. Actually, you've gone with him more than me. And I can tell you this, I've never seen him as good as he was the other day. That was a very focused, but you see how the horses are when they get stronger and they start to round into shape, and you switch their shoes a little bit, and then you just see they're just a little bit better. He's been anxious and a little wound up every time. But that's because the shoeing change we made to him, which when we made it, I thought it was great. When I trained him the first time, I thought it was terrible. I said, oh my God, this horse is terrible. And then when I raced him, I told you, if it hadn't rained, we would have raced him barefoot that day because I wasn't confident that the way we had him shod was the right way to go. And it wasn't until after his first start, his last start, with those shoes on, I'm like, now he feels good. And when I trained him the other day at Northfield, by far the best he's ever trained. He trained as good. If you did a bunch of vet work on a horse and then you went out and trained them the next week, you'd be like, oh, that's perfect. That's how he felt. The only difference was we didn't do any vet work on him. So Memento Mori is definitely in a very, very good place right now. And there's no joke. He's in with some tough horses on Wednesday also. This is the crew that went in 54 with Arrowhead Hanover the other day. So it's not, no joke for sure. Melisandre, I know she was 7th or 4th last week and sat 7th, and maybe you guys didn't get the warm, fuzzy feeling I did, but what I felt was the very first glimmer of a true racehorse inside that filly. She overpowered some watered-down maidens at the Meadows and then made that break last week, and I was disappointed because before she made the break, she just didn't feel comfortable. Not sore, not lame, we're not talking about that. She just didn't feel comfortable on the track. In the middle of the week before, she was rough. Even when she finished second, she warmed up terrible, post-braided terrible, just choppy and out of gear. I had to tighten her hobbles up. Then we did some work on her, but we left the same shoes on her. Raced her, she made a break. After the break, we put the flip-flops on her. And every so often I'll see a horse do this. Put the flip-flops on her. I wasn't there. Amy trained her. They said she trained with an open bridle on the right way of the track by herself. That's a first. She never would do that ever in her life. And then I raced her the other night. If I get room, if Ryan Stahl doesn't come back down, I guarantee you I slither through somewhere and she absolutely jogs. If I just forego the left, the rail, and just file to the outside immediately, I guarantee you she jogs. She was exceptionally good the other night, in with okay horses. It wasn't the race, it wasn't anything. It was the way she felt and the way she approached the race. She wanted to win the other night, and that's the first sign of real power. And the 58 got her strangled coming out of the first turn, got her strangled when Ryan comes back in front of me. At that point you think, now the race is over. File her to the outside, and if there's another 10 yards, she's a winner. She raced very, very good. So Melisandre was good. Mounts for All, first start with hobbles on. He was good, finished second, but did bleed. Will be on Lasix for next week. Freedom Hill finished second. I never thought she did her best work on the front, and this is 2 weeks I put her on the front. She was picked off in 55 and picked off in 54. She raced very, very good both weeks. Looks like Money. I didn't tell you this. Did I tell you about the thumps?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, he touched the thumps when they looked at him after the race, which is very weird. But after the race on Friday afternoon, Tim, he walked up to me in the kitchen. He said, I was going to scope Money, and the vet looked at him and said he's got the thumps a little bit. Now, the thumps is just an electrolyte imbalance, but it was so weird. I never told you this part, I don't think. The day before, I was talking to Hanger One's breeder, very, very nice man, and we were just talking about stuff, and he asked me, he said, does Hanger One throw his head a lot? And I said, I don't think so. I said, yeah, a little bit, I guess. He's just a little wound up. He said, well, I guess I shouldn't be saying stuff on the video, but he said there's another horse that he has, and he said he was doing, he's a super analytical guy, and he was doing all this research on horses and mannerments and mannerisms and why they do things and is there a correlation. And he said, I came upon a couple of studies out of the UK that said horses that throw their head a lot in exercise, workout, or racing, it can be a lot of times attributed to an electrolyte imbalance. I'm like, really? I don't understand how one would get to the other. But he said there was a lot of studies done. After the race, I said to Tim, I said, you might want to get his mouth checked or something. I said, he's floating his head going into the first turn, and I don't understand why. Wouldn't pick the bit up the way he used to and the way he was before. And a couple of times in the mile, going into the first turn much more, and coming out of the turn into the backstretch, he did it again, kind of floated his head a little bit. Horses don't generally do that. Young horses maybe when they're training. Race horses that are 6 that have raced where he's raced, they don't do that. And then for him to say that, and I thought about it right away. I'm like, this horse, the vet just said, has a little bit of the thumps and was throwing his head. Thumps are caused by an electrolyte imbalance. So it was just the weirdest thing. I'm still having a tough time wrapping my head around it, but the two conversations were totally separate. One had nothing to do with the other. It was two random conversations about two very different things, and the connection was pretty obvious. So an interesting thing, it's easy enough to fix. Usually, most of the time, we'll run CPMK. I suspect it's just a potassium and calcium jug into them closer to the race, maybe 2-3 days out. And he got one after he raced an electrolyte jug the other day. So it could be the heat, could be the Lasix, could be a number of things. Did it play a role in the way he raced? I'd have to think so, after looking at the whole thing. And actually, he did the same thing the week before, so maybe he had touched the thumps a little bit the week before also. The week before, he was off 3 or 4 weeks, so it didn't register that he wasn't good. I just thought he was a little short. But he raced the same way the other day. So a little insight into what goes on and all the tiny, tiny little things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Manhattan Money raced okay. I just felt so stupid after Friday. I drove so bad and took 2 horses out of the 2-hole. 3-point blue chip certainly looked like he's a winner if I stay where I'm at. And his was on purpose. I didn't feel anxious. Manhattan Money, I just felt the horse on the front end. I told everybody there was a lot that went into both trips, but Dave Palom was on the front. As we're getting to go into the gate.
I watched.
Did you watch what happened? Is it not 3-point in Manhattan Money's race? Dave Palom's head pole broke. It's on the track, so I pick up the end of the head pole. It connects to the head halter. I take it over the paddock, but Dave's not coming back over. So I'm like, geez, that's weird. Now they're waiting for me. So I throw the head pole end. He took the head pole off and just said, no, he'll go without a head pole. Oh. So it was on the inside. When we got to the first turn, he cleared to the front and he was running in. Got no head pole on. Get to the next turn, he's running in. So I thought if I got Manhattan Money going, getting into the last turn, I'd have him headed when we come out of the turn. It was a great idea. It just didn't work. And Manhattan Money got on the left line in the turn, too. I think his knees are bothering him, his left knee.
He's had a mohawk before. Run out.
He ran it, not bad, but he's run out. I think he just needed a little bit of that work done.
He looks like, you know those videos that you see sometimes where there's like a moose running down the road? That's what he reminds me of.
Well, he wears a lot of weight and a long toe up front. His gait is actually counterintuitive. He needs a lot of weight and a long toe to trot, but with that long toe and that weight, he's got this big gangly gait to him. And you'd think, just chop his toes off, put a lighter shoe on him. You can do that, and then you'd have a wonderful pacer.
Yeah.
So So yeah, just a little bit of maintenance needed for Manhattan Money. Now I explained why I moved the horse. That doesn't make me feel any better after the race. You still feel like an idiot. But had I not moved him and forced him to the left, I might not have seen that he was a little bit off left front, right? And the one thing I have to remind myself is, doesn't really got the eye of the tiger, the big colt.
No.
So don't move him again like that. Keep him covered.
Ava's awake.
There you go. So talk to your daughter. Put it on the.
I will.
So it's on handset.
Oops. Hello.
So Manhattan Money. Left line a little bit,
We're
need
at
a little
the
maintenance
ball field.
work as we head into the Stallion
Do you want us to
Series
come back and get you?
next week. Now, Spitfire Overseas, again, it was more of a hindsight
starts
thing.
in 20
I think I was far too
Or you can
conservative
do the next
in...
one, whatever you wanna do.
I can go get them right now. We can go get them quick.
Oh, well, we'll come back and get you. It's only 10 minutes.
Just tell them to be ready at the door.
But you guys gotta be ready. And you gotta get your sister ready.
In a hurry.
And it's not warm out.
And ask her if she wants Starbucks or something.
Alright.
Apparently we gotta go. So Ava and Addie were running around yesterday. Ava went to the movies last night, watched Thunderbolts. If you're a Marvel fan, she said it was a good movie. I like Marvel, it's fine, but I don't think I'm gonna go watch Thunderbolts. What's wrong? Your sunglasses, are they in here?
No,
Your sunglasses, when you say your sunglasses, do you mean my sunglasses that I gave you?
No, I found mine.
Those are probably in there, no? Or you purposely left them in Ohio?
No, they're probably in my purse, which is in the car.
Okay, because my sunglasses are definitely in the other car. So Spitfire Overseas, it wasn't that I drove him. No, honey, not going your way. It's confusing and convoluted.
No, it
Okay,
isn't.
time it. Pretty simple. 8:37, right? 8:37. We'll time it. Amy wants to go that way. I'm going that way. We literally live 8 minutes straight that way. So either way is fine. She says her way is better. I say my way is every bit as good or better. Spitfire Overseas. Put yourself in my shoes. My thought with Spitfire was simple. He's made a break 3 times in that last turn before. Now, I can tell you all 3 times that he made a break, he wasn't great that day. He just wasn't bringing his A game that day, but he nevertheless made a break. He felt very good on Friday. And when I came with him, I'm coming to Guido D. Guido D is first start back and has been an open horse for 2-3 years. A very, very nice horse. The horse in the 2-hole is actually the favorite. That horse has been racing in the open, something money. I forget his name. Aaron was driving him, and I'm coming first over. The 3 of us are the 3 horses to beat. When I moved Spitfire, I'm certain I got Brady beat, and I think Aaron's horse, maybe I just didn't think he could get me. I came easy and then cleared coming out of the turn, kicked the earplugs, and pushed Spitfire to the wire, got picked off. Had I come wide open in the last turn, I think I inhale Brady's horse coming out of the turn. I open up 2 lengths, and there's a 0% chance that Aaron beats me. That's all hindsight stuff, but nevertheless, Spitfire was good. He was good, just need to have better. And it is important to note also, the open trot went 54 flat, and Spitfire did also, and 3-point blue chip trotted 54 and 3. So all 3 trotters were good. I'm just telling you what I took away from each race. And it's very simple. We'll get to 3-point in a second. The takeaway was very easy. Looks like money, touch of the thumps. We can fix that. He'll be fine. I felt after the race that I started him up in the turn. I don't think Ronnie reaches, but there was more at play than that, as it turned out. Spitfire Overseas, I believe I should have come harder with him in the turn. I clear coming out of the turn. There's a 0% chance Aaron runs me down. And then with 3-point blue chip, just stay in the 2-hole. Right? Again, if you put yourself in my shoes, we just had a rainstorm. The horse on the front was 6-1. He wasn't really a threat to beat me at the time. Or Brian Zent's horse was the horse to beat, Keystone Chaos. Now, as we start into the backstretch, I see the lights flash up, 56-1. Pretty salty half for that crew, right? Pretty decent. It's a good pace. It's a hot pace. I look over my shoulder. I can't see a lot because it's muddy. I look over my shoulder. Keystone Chaos is first over. I just want to get a run at Mike Wilder before Keystone Chaos does, because I'm confident once Keystone Chaos rolls up in front of me, he's going to run that horse down, and he finishes strong. I'm not going to beat him. So my best chance is to move out of the 2-hole, clear to the front, and hope that Keystone Chaos can't run me down. Instead, it didn't work that way. I moved out of the 2-hole and just put it in park right there. So he was third. Well, he is, that right hind leg still is swollen. It still bothers him. It's not as defined as it was before. Like, it wasn't a bump in one spot. Now it's like the top of the leg has a little swelling in it. There's no lameness. It's a hematoma on his cannon bone. And you can tell when he hits it, you can feel him hesitate a little bit. 2 weeks ago, when he was off 2 weeks ago back, zero hesitation and raced great. And I thought that he would come back even better this week, but he did get into it a little bit this week. And every time he hits it, it just takes a little bit off his velocity. He just doesn't push forward the same way he would. And that will dissipate with time. But I know that Angela and Tim, everybody in that barn is working hard to get it down and keep it down. But when you race them every week, it's really tough to do that. So the takeaway was, if I stay in the 2-hole, I'm 1-2. I moved out of the 2-hole and I was third. That was the takeaway from my point of view. Then we went to Mohawk. Gaslight Hall couldn't look better, and Chicago Hall looked pretty good also. Very happy with both colts. I kind of wish they both were in the SBOA next week, but Chicago Hall will race in the SBOA. Gaslight Hall will race in an overnight event, but he is very, very good right now. It was too bad that James's horse made a break, the one that he picked off to drive.
Sound like you're worried.
I felt terrible. Texong Soprano raced great. If Scotty hadn't been forced 3 deep in the last turn, I dare say he's a winner. But he raced very, very good again. And then Resolve Indeed showed a little bit of blood this week. My only thing with Resolve Indeed is looking at her schedule. I would love to take her to Ohio and the Meadows for a couple of starts in between her stakes, because my personal feeling on that filly is I literally could race her in a jog cart with flat tires right now and beat the class she fits at Northfield. And I just think that if they're not going to write a fillies and mares, non-winners of 2, and fill it, then we got to race against the likes of Chicago Hall and Gaslight Hall with Resolve Indeed. That's unfair, right? So if they're not going to be able to fill that Ontario or otherwise non-winners of 2 fillies and mares trot at Mohawk, I think we'll just spend some time shuffling back and forth to the stake races in Ontario and those easier non-winners of 2, non-winners of 4 classes at Northfield, non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3, but 5 in the Meadows. And I think it'll be a much more lucrative endeavor for us. I think we could have taken her over. Now we're going to enter the LASX program. It's 14 days in Ontario. It's no days in Pennsylvania or Ohio, but they already drew for next week. So waiting until the 2 weeks from last Friday, it doesn't really matter if you race Wednesday in Northfield or the Meadows. I would rather race her Friday at Mohawk if they're going to fill the non-winners of 2 trot. So we're going to keep our eye out next week to see if they fill that non-winners of 2 fillies and mares trot. And then I'm going to talk to Jimmy, the race office, and the race office crew, ask them if they're planning on filling it, how many do they have, are they close? If they're not close, you might see her make a short little run over to Northfield. And also, aside from the financial side of racing her at Northfield, there's also her confidence, right? Chasing horses like Gaslight in Chicago is unfair, whereas if you go over and beat up a softer field at Northfield with your earplugs in and sharp as attack finishing up, it really pushes your confidence and bolsters it. So that would be the second side of why I think that would be important. So those were the few highlights of last week. As I said, I think top marks deserve and need to be given to Blue Ventura. He raced tremendous. And then Patrick the Piranha, so excited about the first sign of life in Patrick in quite a while, was on Saturday afternoon. So great job there. Now, a few standouts we're going to talk about. You and I have our 2-year-olds to talk about. We have our top 10 list to do that you didn't want to. You're trying your hardest to figure out how to get out of it. But we are going to have to do it. And I think some standouts to talk about that I went with. I know that a couple of horsemen that are not affiliated with our barn on 2 different occasions come up and asked me who the trotter I went with the other day was. Jailbird Jog. She obliterated everybody and just looked so smooth, so slick. Now, will she do the same thing in company, following? Sitting, moving. I don't know. We're going to find out soon enough, though. I thought Millie Girl looked great with you. You know, we went a mile in 2:11 or 2:12, and if you just come with Millie Girl and clear me, which you could have done, And you only didn't because I told you not to. When Amy moved out of the 2-hole, I had Sweet Lake on the front. She didn't feel as good. I think she tied up a little bit. And when you popped out of the 2-hole, you were going right by me. And I just said to Amy, hey, just sit for a second. I don't want to get the filly beat up, and there's no need to. We're going lots. But Millie Girl could have destroyed the whole field at that point because Diosa Della Danza wouldn't have got out. The other filly was way too far back. As it turns out, Diosa Della Danza dropped into the passing lane and beat you. But, yeah, she did. You did. I don't think you saw her. Either way, they both were very, very good. Very impressed with Millie Girl. Diosa Della Danza, Jailbird Jog. A horse that I thought was great, and especially after I jogged her the other day, was your little filly. I know you're terribly worried she's going to get sore and her knees are going to bother her, but I was thoroughly pleased with what I saw from Pretty Eyes and Lies. The break in the first turn, I think that little mark you found in her jack is obviously what caused that. But then when I moved her 3 deep and get into her a little bit and made her do her work. Well,
you turned on the What the Hill cross with international money.
That's all right. She just had to come to life, the big girl. I told you that. She didn't take too long getting around you guys, did she? Big mama. She was very good. Tomboy Strong continues to be good. Xena Kemp was so good last week also.
I can't wait till she can go to Lexington.
I know. She's going to love Lexington.
She's going to like...
Uncle Danny was great. Jason went a little much with Uncle Danny, and Eric said he was a little stiff going out yesterday. I wouldn't doubt he tied up a little bit too. Now, when we say tie up, there's tie up where, oh my God, the horse is tied up and he's no... I'm just talking about a little muscle sore, a little cramped up. You know, maybe your first day back at the gym, for those of you who go to the gym, like me. Your first day back at the gym, you get a little stiff. Be like that. Cherry's Girl has been great the last 3 weeks. I'm really hoping that Don't Ask Again comes alive like she did. She has been great. Solidarity and Dune were fantastic. I'm telling you, I don't know how many horses are in this division in Michigan, but it's going to take a good horse to beat up on Dune. You might say, well, maybe when she gets a small track, we said that about Mountaineer Prince last year. Well, I didn't foresee Mountaineer Prince just blowing up and us not being able to keep him on stride all the time. Dune wears no boots and no poles. She'll get around any size track. There won't be a problem with Dune, and she is very fast. And I'm not saying very fast on a scale of Michigan potentials. I'm telling you, she is a very, very nice... She could go with Millie Girl in them right now. No problem whatsoever. She was exceptionally good training yesterday. Solidarity was great, too. He was coming to me at the wire. We come 30-2 in the jog cart at Mohawk in the rain. 2:12 at a mile and a half. 2:12 last half and 3 last quarter, 30-2. And Solidarity was coming to me. And Danny let him pace into the turn and was going to let him settle. I said, no. Make that horse pace. And he comes screaming through the turn with me. So Solidarity was very good. And the horse said, I'm cheering for Sterling Hanover. And I think I'm going to end my video just having a little talk about Sterling Hanover. And James and I talked about it yesterday. When you look at all the horses and they're starting to swell up and put all their racehorse muscle on, you can start to see it forming. Solidarity is still what?
The dog.
Oh, Solidarity is still, or Sterling Hanover is still a little less defined, right? Remember, he's a late foal. He had 4 OCDs removed. He had 1 tiny OCD in all 4 ankles, and he was originally, wasn't he? Didn't we geld him? Oh no, we gelded him later. Right, we gelded him later. So he missed a month from the procedures. He missed 2 weeks from being castrated, and he was a late foal to begin with. And every time he made a break or didn't do it right, that's not really a full hard workout. So he's missed a number of them. I went with him yesterday, and he beat them easily training. We come the last quarter in 31, 32 seconds. He went by James's filly. And I just talked to Dominic again. I feel I should apologize to Larry and his partner that were there to watch Simply Chaotic. I told Dom, I said, I want them going as hard as they can trot or pace through the wire into the turn from now on hard work days.
What happened?
I saw it.
He was gapped off in the last turn,
and
when you guys all drop the hammer, you can't catch you.
So first off, the first part of your sentence is the problem.
But he was doomed at the 3/4 pole.
He should have been coming with the colt. I told him, I don't want you just to sit the whole way. These are simulated races on fast days. On Wednesdays when you go on 30, I don't care what you do. Just put some work into them. But when you are supposed to be moving and you have to work hard in the last, you have to work hard.
Is there a sweater in here?
No.
She took it off last night. I think it's in our room. So you need to stretch the horses out, right? This is not the ballet. This is supposed to be, sparring. And when it comes to, it's not here. It's in our room. I saw it last night. When we're working, especially in May, we're trying to get these horses good. They need to be stretched out sometime. Do not follow, and finish up on a helmet. I want the horses working. It's like after a workout. If you're a football player, you're a baseball player, you should feel it. When you're getting close to the regular season, so to speak, you should feel it sometimes when you're working. And when it comes to when it came to that horse yesterday, Dominic kind of finished up beside us, but he was just kind of buggy riding going down the lane. And I told him after, trot through the turn, first off, in this mile. Secondly, on the end of it, on these faster days, I want the horses working hard. Because the takeaway from that is, one, you're starting to stretch them out a little bit and put that extra little muscle on they need, that racehorse muscle they need to put on. Secondly, when you jog them the next day, I want to know how they look. Is there a little wrinkle in them? A little crack in the armor, so to speak? You can't tell that if you don't stretch them out. And I would rather know now going in 212, right? Like Bianco Spiaggia. I would rather know that horse is a little issue that we have to deal with, because we can deal with it in 215. You can't deal with it in 58. At 58, I'm sending you a video about how the horse is injured. Not about an injury that we caught early, or one that isn't an injury. It might be an injury down the road. That's the difference between now and qualifying day. So I want to know now. And that's very, very important. It's a very integral part of how we train. And I'm not saying that anybody, and it's one thing I said to Dominic, I would never tell anybody how to train their horses. It's none of my business. I don't care. There's a million ways to train. I've seen people train all different sorts of ways, get horses to the races and be very effective with them. Seen them train super hard, and I've seen them be very easy with them, and they get there. But our way, our brand, so to speak, is the same way it's been forever. And this is how I want to make sure our horses are trained. And it just constantly reminding, again, this isn't a bad thing, but Dom's always had his own horses. He trained down. He was very protective of them. And when it comes to our horses, we're trying to build a sports team here. And I want to know what they can do, what they can't do, and we're getting to the part of the year when you start to see that. So to Larry and his partner, trust me when I tell you there's lots under the hood when it comes to when it comes to Simply Chaotic. I was busy looking at Sterling Hanover, and I was very, very happy with what I saw. Minor change coming up from him up front in his shoeing, but I think you're going to see Sterling Hanover really, really start to come forward now. I like this horse, but he is, trust me when I tell you this, he is 1 month behind them. If they're going to be ready to go June 15th, Sterling Hanover likely will and should be ready to go July 15th. You are not going to see Sterling Hanover in the first New Jersey Sire Stakes. So for those of you out there waiting to hear me say he's ready to rock and he's this, muscle-wise, skeletal-wise, maturity, the physical maturity of Sterling Hanover, he is 1 month behind everybody else. That's not a bad thing. That's simple math. He missed 2 weeks from castration. He missed a month at the start from having the OCDs removed. The good takeaway is he's sound. Another great takeaway, his attitude is perfect. He wants to do his work. I moved him over at that lane, and he trotted as hard as he could right through the wire into the turn. Went by James and drove away. Exactly what I want to see him do. But we have to do it right. So that's where we're at with Sterling. Solidarity was great. I know a lot of people, I'm getting messages can you go with this one? Can you go with this one? I really want, just relax. It's part of the process. Zena Kemp, I know Jim was adamant I had to go with her. I went with her once. She's fine. She was great the other day, beat us up. Amy was great with her. She looked amazing. Solidarity. Looked perfect to me. Danny's done a great job with this horse. He looked great training yesterday. Sterling Hanover looked great. Everybody that we took to Mohawk yesterday looked great. I was happy with the entire crew. So I still have to reach out to Curtis. I'd like to do the videos this Wednesday. It looks like I start a little bit later in the Meadows. I'm going to call Lisa, message Lisa who does the programming. Yeah, well, that's the way it is. Oh, Addie's going to get angry, watch. Oh, scared you. So that is where we're at right now with the babies and the racehorses. Had a great week. The training is coming along nice. I've been very happy with what I saw. And again, very, very happy with what I saw from Ontario. Do you have anything to add, ma'am? Where'd you get the orange?
Inside. Dad, I bought cotton candy grapes.
Oh, I bought those yesterday. I need more of those. Can you go get the bag of oranges, honey?
Where
Where are they at?
by the toaster.
By the toaster. Quickly, please. Anyway, take care, everybody. I hope you've had a great weekend. We've got half of all these games in. They won both of them. I was very, very happy with the way he played, and I'm happy that he was happy. The racing Saturday was so. As I said, some high points this week. I wouldn't say low points, but certainly not the points we were expecting. So, take care. I will talk to you all very soon. Still got the 2-year-olds video and the top 10 lists to go through very soon. Smile. It's Sunday.